Good day, folks. This is Greg G. Green Pastures Farm. Today, Jan and I are up in Alberta, and we're in this really neat old antique village here. We can see a lot of the old machinery. I guess it makes me feel old because I see a piece of machinery that I used to work on. It's right over there. Jan, you want to show that little round baler?
Oh yeah.
That's an Alice Chalmers.
Stand in front so you can hear.
That's an Alice Chalmers, and it kicks out about a 55, 60 pound round bale. It puts string on it, and that's what we used to. Dad and I used to have one of those, or you worked on it more than you ran it. It seemed like, but they'd kick the bale out in the pasture, and you didn't have to haul it in if you didn't want to. You could just leave it out there, and then turn the cows into it in the wintertime. And surprisingly, most of it was still good.
Like a mini round bale.
A mini round bale, that's what they were. Yep. And if you wanted to be really conservative, you grabbed them and you hauled them in. And boy, I remember the tips of my fingers. You wanted to use hay hooks when you hauled those. But anyway.
Because why?
Because your fingers, the end of your fingers just get so raw, it'd take all that skin off your fingers.
You didn't have gloves.
Well, yeah, I did. But there's thorns and multiple rose bushes and you name it. You're running that up into your fingers, even through gloves. Most of my leather gloves had holes in them. Yeah, there's just a lot of old-timey furniture here.
Equipment, not
equipment,
furniture.
Not furniture, equipment. Yeah. But Jan had the idea of doing a question and answer session here with all this stuff in the background. So
yeah,
we were going to do that.
Yeah, so again, I just go through some videos and I pull random questions. Sometimes I don't get through all of them, and he doesn't know what I'm going to throw at him. And he's addressed some of these questions online, but I'm certain many of you never go back and reread them. So here's a chance to do that. So, someone asked, what's your idea of Highland cattle? What are things that we need to be looking for? And then I just kind of put in there also, someone had asked, what are your thoughts on Black Angus, which is all about the same thing in my mind. Well,
yeah, they're two different breeds. Highland, of course, have a lot of hair on them. They've got a long, really long hair. And I know there's people that are raising Highland cattle, and they claim that they're pretty good eating. I guess the market's really high for Highland cattle because a lot of the newbies that are starting up on
settlers.
Yeah, homesteaders, they like them. And so it's just crazy some of the prices they're getting for these things. So I guess where I would be careful of is, if you got a nest egg, let's just say you're going to buy livestock and you've saved up $10,000. How many Highland cows can you buy with that? 2? Or you could go out and buy, 5 or 6 or 7, just smaller frame, more moderate grass genetic type cows, 4 or 5 versus maybe 2. So that would be my concern. But I know that there's a good market for Highland as far as just people want them. They just want them on their farm. I don't know if they're going to butcher them or they just raise them to look at, I think. And the Angus, Angus right now is the most popular breed in America. I mean, everywhere you go, you see black cows. And the Angus Association has done a wonderful job of marketing. And I don't know how many of y'all went to Hardee's or whatever, certified black Angus beef, and so they've done a good job of marketing it. You talk to some of the people that have run Angus. I've run quite a few of them in the past when we custom grazed, and they, there's good ones and bad ones in all breeds. And so I'm not going to sit here and knock Angus because if you take them to sale barn, a black cow sells pretty good if that's your market. I don't think the sale barn should be your all-in into marketing all your animals.
And then the grass genetics.
Yeah, so most of our cattle today we've got them bred where they're too big, and I was listening to a guy the other day talk about these 1,500 pound cows. They've got to be able to make it out there on the land on your farm, and it's hard for one to do that when you get them that big. So it's more about the frame and the size of the animal. I think you need to stay in that 950 to 1,050. Don't get over 1,200 for sure, and you'll do a lot better.
So and you need to figure out if you want to do grass fed or you want to do grain fed, or
that's right.
It all depends. And then like Black Angus, a lot of times they only have to have a certain percentage to be qualified for like a certified Black Angus. So
Yep,
it's all in like you said, they did an excellent job of marketing
they did.
Angus.
They absolutely did.
So um, we'll go on with that. The next question is, with shifting weather patterns, have you thought of shifting or establishing warm season grasses instead of tall fescue?
Yeah, so I get that. I'm getting that question quite a bit, and with our management, where we can go 60 to 90 to as long as 150 days. In 2012, we went almost 140 days without grazing. In between grazing passes, we got zero rain the whole growing season, and so we had to stretch our length of grazing period out. When we did that, that's when you start seeing the native warm season grasses. Folks, if you're grazing every 30 days and you're on a calendar, you just pull out your calendar and you look at it, and you're here on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you're going around that farm every 30 days, you're not going to have any warm season grasses. And that's because they need more time. You've got to give them time. And we're starting to see the big blue stem, the Indian grass, quite a bit.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right now in a drought
Yep.
conditions.
That lease farm that we saw, I did that video here a week or so ago. Somebody said, well, that had to be there. Well, folks, there's windrows of big blue stem coming up where we unrolled that hay. And I kind of tend to agree with them. I don't know how you get a plant that big in one growing season. And we just started the growing season, you might say, in June. But those plants, when we turned those cattle in there in December, there was stockpile fescue this tall. There was no big blue stem on that ridge. I know it because that's where I fed hay. That's where the bulls stayed, in that draw. There was no big blue stem there. So it could have been down underneath that fescue, and it never got to express itself very well. But we went in there and strip grazed it, beat that up in the wintertime, and now it came back with a vengeance. I mean, there's big blue stem all over those ridges over there. So yeah, I mean, it takes density and get off of it. And that's why we took the bulls off that farm. Those grasses were not recovered. We went around it in the springtime. We didn't get any rain. They had to come off. And so we moved them, and now we're going to bring them back. It's unbelievable. That farm's got a lot of grass on it, but we gave it another 30 days. And we got some rain.
And something that, a few years when we had Greg Braun up in the fall, and we all think of Indian grass, big blue, little blue, as the only fall grasses. But when he was there, he was coming up with all these other fall grasses that we don't even value.
Yep, that's right. One of our, what we call, Cindy's 40, and it's part of Marshall's old farm. And we walked down that ridge, I'll never forget it. And Greg's walking down with the group, and he's reaching down, he's picking this and he's picking that. And he just kind of had a grin. He was just happy because of all the different species on a pretty old poor piece of ground. He says, this is pretty cool. And he was going around picking up all the native plants that were grazing in that environment.
Yeah, and I wish we'd done a video with him just going through all the fall grasses that, because we just get in this mindset, and that's what the conservation people want us. Big blue, Indian grass, gamma, but there's a host of other things that we could be putting out there, or we should be looking for.
Yep.
Okay. So this is a good one to go into after that. Will these grazing practices work in Oklahoma? Then someone also asked, would this work in the high desert conditions in California?
Absolutely. So your grazing period is going to be different. How tight you have them in there, that may be different. How long you leave them there, how soon it is before you come back. Folks, it'll work anywhere in the world. Ian's doing it in Africa. Our Alexandrio down in the Chihuahuan Desert down by Mexico, he's doing it.
And he's a high desert.
Yeah, high desert area. He beats it up and he's gone. And some of the results he's seen down there, it's just unbelievable. I mean, right next to his neighbor, it looks like a darn moonscape, and on his side, it looks like Jurassic Park. I mean, there's just all kinds of green. It's all from the animals and rest and trampling, giving it time to recover.
Management.
Yep, management.
And as you said, manage for what you want,
yep,
not what you have.
That's right.
We'll do one more. Um, will unrolling hay that has been fertilized harm your soil?
No, no. The only thing I'd be concerned about is if you're buying hay from somebody that is using a lot of herbicide, the grazing P plus D. According to some of the soil biologists, that stuff doesn't break down very quick and it'll stay in your soil. And it's not good for your soil microorganisms. So, but, check your hay source. Most hay producers don't do that. It's expensive. If there's a few weeds out there, they just cut them and bale them up. And I don't mind that. There's going to be weeds on your farm until the day you die. Manage for what you want though. So if you manage for your grasses, let those, don't overgraze them. Your grasses can put pressure on those weeds. And the weeds become a non-issue after that.
Well, and my thing is if they fertilize that hay, that grass will have more P and K.
Yep.
So
if you're yeah, exactly, Jan. So if you're fertilizing it, you're going to have better grass, even if it is NP and K or whatever commercial. If you're baling natural broom sedge that didn't have any fertilizer on it,
well,
you're hauling in crap. I mean, your cows aren't even going to eat it. They'll lay on it, poop on it, step on it, but they're not going to eat it. So before you buy your hay, let's just end with this. Buy one bale from your hay supplier, bring it home and unroll it. Unroll it after to your cow. Now, maybe summertime, but you're going to be able to tell real quick. If it looks like a cotton ball behind you, all the broom sedge, seed heads coming on, all you bought was a bale of broom sedge. Don't buy any more of that. It only cost you one bale. It didn't cost you 100.
Yeah, we've done that before.
That's right. Folks, before we end, I want Jan to come around here. I'm going to show y'all something. So this was all done, back in, I don't know what year it was.
1920.
1920. But you look at the hewn marks. Folks, this was done with a broadaxe. See the cuts in here? So there's a guy standing there doing that with a broadaxe, knocking the bark and flattening these logs off. Can you imagine? I mean, of course, they're pine, or they could be tamarack or whatever, but still, it took a while to do that. They took this cabin apart and they moved it here. This is the old blacksmith shop, and it was built in 1912. And I thought it was interesting. There's another little guest house over here. There's 5 bachelors living.
No, this was it.
Was this it?
Yeah.
There's 5 bachelors living.
That lived upstairs.
Yeah. Folks, there's not a big area up there. There's 5 bachelors lived up in the upstairs portion of this little cabin. But I don't know. I'm just a history buff. I love history. I thought that was kind of neat. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Everyone hit that subscribe button on the way out. And we'll see you all next time. And goodbye from Canada, Alberta. Y'all have a good one.